What will remain when you are no longer here? When all material possessions, fame, and status fade with time, the only thing that truly endures is the mark you leave on others' minds, the values you lived by, and the actions that shaped your path. But a powerful legacy is not built by chance. It is not created through empty promises or lofty wishes, but on the solid foundation of discipline, unwavering will, and the readiness to face challenges. Have you ever wondered why some people are remembered not for the wealth they accumulated, but for the way they lived, for how they never settled for mediocrity? Why are there individuals who, even after they are gone, continue to inspire and serve as models for future generations? The secret lies not in luck, but in how they trained themselves, how they faced adversity, and how they created lasting value. If you want to understand the power of discipline, the way to build an unerasable legacy, keep reading. The answer is not far away, it is found in the choices you make today. The greatest battle, conquering yourself. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against an external enemy but against yourself. This enemy does not wield weapons or stand before you in plain sight, it hides within your mind. It is the weak, lazy, fearful, and undisciplined version of yourself. It is the voice in your head that tells you to hit the snooze button in the morning, to procrastinate, to seek comfort instead of facing challenges. It is the ghost of hesitation, the fear of failure, the endless stream of excuses that keep you from becoming who you were meant to be. This is not a single fight, it is an ongoing war, fought every day, every moment. It is a battle between who you are and who you have the potential to become. The Stoics understood this battle well. They called it the fight for self-mastery, the art of conquering the mind, the discipline of refusing to be ruled by fleeting emotions and temporary desires. To them, a person is not meant to be controlled by laziness or indulgence but to rise above them, to overcome personal weaknesses, and to build a stronger, more disciplined version of themselves. Every morning, two versions of you wake up, the weak self and the warrior self. One seeks comfort, the other seeks greatness. One makes excuses, the other takes action. One is weak, the other is strong. The question is, who will win today? Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. If you do not eliminate the weak version of yourself, it will drag you down into mediocrity. It will keep you shackled to fear, bad habits, and self-imposed limitations. But if you win, if you take control of your mind and emotions, you will unlock a version of yourself that is strong, disciplined, and unshakable. This journey is not for the faint-hearted. It demands that you abandon self-pity, strip away self-deception, and discard the illusion that you have time to waste. Every second is an opportunity to forge a mind of steel, an unbreakable will, and a disciplined character. Strong individuals do not expect an easy life. They do not run from hardship, they embrace it. They do not complain or make excuses, they take action even when they don't feel like it. Because motivation is a lie. It is unreliable, fleeting, and inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, is the foundation of all success. A disciplined person does not wait to feel inspired before acting, they act because it must be done. They act because it defines who they are. The great Stoic philosophers Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus knew that strength is not built in comfort but in struggle. They understood that true victory does not come from grand, dramatic moments, but from small, repeated actions every single day. While others look for shortcuts, they seek refinement. While others avoid pain, they see it as an opportunity to grow. That is why they refused to let their actions be dictated by fleeting desires. They did not allow emotions to determine their course. Instead, they acted based on reason, discipline, and unbreakable principles. You have two choices: live as a person controlled by fear, emotion, and temptation, or choose the path of discipline, resilience, and self-mastery. This is not a one-time decision, it is a choice you must make every single day. It is a choice that appears when you wake up in the morning, when you face a difficult task, when you feel like quitting. In those moments, you must remind yourself that either you control your mind, or your mind controls you. The world does not belong to those who wait for the perfect moment, it belongs to those who act without hesitation. Greatness is not found in daydreams but in relentless, disciplined effort. You can wait, you can make excuses, but every moment you hesitate, you are letting the weaker version of yourself win. Or, you can stand up, take action, and declare that you are the master of your destiny. Decide now. Who will you become? Which path will you choose? This is not just a battle, it is a declaration of war against mediocrity. If you truly want to become the strongest version of yourself, then right now, at this very moment, begin. The death of excuses, eliminating weakness through relentless action. Excuses are the silent killers of ambition, the invisible chains that keep people trapped in mediocrity. Every time you make an excuse, you strengthen the weaker version of yourself, the version that seeks comfort, avoids struggle, and prefers the illusion of safety over the reality of progress. Excuses are not harmless, they are a disease of the mind, a slow rot that eats away at discipline, ambition, and growth. The moment you allow an excuse to take root in your mind, you give weakness a foothold, and from there, it will only spread. Excuses are seductive because they offer temporary relief, a justification for inaction, a comforting lie that tells you it's okay to delay, to quit, to remain the same. But that comfort is an illusion. It is a mirage that disappears as soon as reality sets in, leaving behind nothing but regret. The Stoics had no tolerance for excuses. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Strength is not built through comfort but through resistance, through the moments when the easy path tempts you, and you reject it. Every excuse you make is a step backward, a reinforcement of the weaker self, a chain added to the weight of stagnation. The more you delay, the stronger the excuse becomes until it suffocates any ambition you once had. The weak self thrives on procrastination. It tells you, "I'll start tomorrow." It whispers, "It's too hard." It convinces you, "I don't feel like it today." But the truth is, tomorrow never comes. There is no perfect time. There is only now. The more you entertain excuses, the more they control you. The only way to destroy them is through immediate action. You must develop a relentless intolerance for excuses. You must refuse to negotiate with laziness, reject hesitation, and act before doubt has time to form. The moment you hear the voice of procrastination, you must crush it with movement. If you hesitate to work out, that is the moment you must drop down and do push-ups. If you hesitate to start a project, that is the moment you must begin. If you say, "I don't have time," eliminate distractions and make time. Every excuse is a deception lie that keeps you from progress. The solution is simple: do not argue with weakness, attack it. The Stoics were warriors of the mind. They understood that discipline is not a feeling but a command, an order that must be obeyed regardless of circumstance. A true Stoic does not ask himself whether he is in the mood to act, he simply does what must be done. This is the mindset you must adopt. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Readiness is an illusion. Action is the only truth. To destroy excuses, you must create a system where movement is automatic. The moment hesitation arises, your body should already be in motion. Do not wait for the right moment, there is no right moment. The moment is now. The weak self waits, the strong self moves. The first battle of the day is the most important. It sets the tone for everything that follows. If you hit snooze on your alarm, you are training yourself to hesitate in other areas of life. Each time you ignore the alarm and go back to sleep, you reinforce procrastination and weaken your ability to take decisive action. The solution is simple: when the alarm rings, sit up immediately. Do not negotiate. Do not allow your mind to rationalize 5 more minutes. Get out of bed with purpose. Establish a morning routine that immediately puts you into motion. Make your bed instantly. Step onto the floor with intention. Engage in an early form of movement, push-ups, stretching, or a cold shower. The moment your body moves, your mind follows. This is not just about waking up, it is about training yourself to act with urgency, to reject hesitation as a way of life. The way you start your day determines how you approach the rest of it. A weak man starts his day with delay, a strong man starts it with action. Train yourself to do something difficult every morning, something that sets the tone for discipline. A cold shower, an intense workout, reading or writing philosophy, anything that challenges you before the day even begins. Your mind craves comfort in the early hours, and that is precisely why you must attack it with discomfort. Cold showers teach you to override resistance with discipline. Reading or writing sharpens your mind, ensuring that your thoughts are guided by reason rather than emotion. Exercise shocks your body into action, igniting the energy that carries you through the rest of the day. The Stoics understood that victory is not achieved in grand battles but in small, consistent actions. To eliminate excuses, you must create non-negotiable rules for yourself, rules that you follow no matter how you feel. If you decide to work out 5 days a week, then you do it whether you are tired, busy, or unmotivated. If you decide to read philosophy daily, then no distraction interferes. These rules are not optional, they are the backbone of self-mastery. Without them, you are vulnerable to excuses, emotions, and external influences. When the weak self tries to justify breaking a commitment just this once, recognize that it is attempting to regain control. Do not allow it. When a rule is set, it is followed without exception. Every time you obey your own rules, you reinforce your control over your mind. Over time, this creates an identity shift, you become the kind of person who follows through, no matter what. And that is the foundation of true strength. Adopt the mindset that excuses are lies, and respond to them with an automatic counteraction. Every time an excuse enters your mind, see it as an alarm, a signal that the weak self is attempting to take control. Instead of indulging it, attack it with immediate action. If your mind says, "I'll do it later," respond with, "No, I do it now." If your mind says, "I don't have time," eliminate distractions and make time. If you feel tired, push forward anyway. This discipline of instant execution is what separates the weak from the strong. Start small if necessary, but be relentless. Every excuse you kill strengthens your will, making it easier to dominate your mind in all areas of life. Over time, this automatic response will become second nature, you will transform from someone who thinks about action into someone who simply acts. Excuses are the chains that keep people locked in mediocrity. They are the whispers of weakness, the justifications for stagnation. But you are not here to be ruled by weakness. You are here to dominate it. Kill the weak version of yourself. Destroy hesitation. Move forward with relentless action. The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. Discipline over motivation, the foundation of greatness. Motivation is a lie, a fleeting and unreliable force that cannot be trusted. It comes and goes like the wind, appearing in moments of inspiration and disappearing when things become difficult. The weak rely on motivation, waiting for the perfect moment, the right feeling, the ideal circumstances before taking action. But the strong understand that waiting for motivation is a trap, a passive way of living that ensures nothing meaningful is ever accomplished. True progress is not built on bursts of inspiration but on unshakable discipline. Discipline is the foundation of all greatness, the core principle that separates those who succeed from those who never even begin. The disciplined do not ask themselves if they feel like working, training, or improving. They simply do what must be done, regardless of their emotions. They act because action is who they are, not because they are in the mood to do so. The Stoics knew this truth well. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Preparation is not a product of motivation, it is a function of discipline. The disciplined man does not wait for external forces to push him forward, he creates his own momentum. He does not depend on a rush of excitement to begin a task, he begins because he has committed to it. This mindset applies to every aspect of life, business, fitness, personal growth, and the pursuit of wisdom. If an athlete only trained when he felt like it, he would never reach the peak of his ability. If a writer only wrote when inspiration struck, he would never complete a book. If a philosopher only practiced virtue when it was convenient, he would be no different from the average man. The strong understand that consistency, not motivation, is the key to mastery. Discipline is a muscle. Like any muscle, it must be exercised daily. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes. The more you allow yourself to slack, the weaker it grows. If you skip a workout today, it becomes easier to skip tomorrow. If you procrastinate today, you reinforce a pattern of avoidance that will only grow stronger. Every decision either strengthens your discipline or weakens it, there is no neutral ground. The weak version of yourself will always whisper excuses, take a break. You worked hard yesterday. Just this once won't hurt. But the disciplined version of yourself does not negotiate with weakness. It does not entertain debates about whether or not to act. It simply executes. The moment hesitation arises, action must follow. This is how discipline is forged, not in grand moments, but in the small, daily battles against complacency. The enemy of progress is inconsistency. Weak men allow emotions to dictate their actions. If they are tired, they rest. If they are unmotivated, they do nothing. If they face resistance, they quit. But strong men push forward regardless of circumstances. They do not base their actions on how they feel but on what they have committed to do. The disciplined man wakes up and follows his routine whether he is excited or exhausted, inspired or indifferent. He does not allow mood swings or external conditions to derail his course. This level of consistency is what leads to extraordinary results. The greatest performers in history, athletes, thinkers, warriors, did not wait for motivation to strike. They built systems, habits, and routines that ensured they would take action no matter what. They understood that success is not determined by single moments of inspiration, but by relentless persistence over time. To cultivate discipline, you must create non-negotiable rules for yourself. These are commitments that you follow, no matter how you feel, no matter the circumstances. If you decide to work out 5 days a week, then it happens, whether you are tired, busy, or unmotivated. If you commit to reading and expanding your mind daily, then you do it, no matter what distractions arise. These rules become the backbone of your character, the foundation of your self-mastery. The disciplined man does not look for reasons to break his commitments. He treats his word as law. When the weak self tries to whisper, skip today. Just this once, he does not listen. He understands that every time he follows through, he strengthens his self-respect. Every time he breaks his own word, he weakens it. Stop waiting for motivation. It is a crutch, a luxury of the weak. The disciplined do not hope for inspiration, they create it through action. The weak sit idle, hoping the perfect moment will arrive, waiting for everything to feel right. But the strong take action, and through that action, they generate their own momentum. They understand that movement breeds energy, that progress fuels ambition. They recognize that hesitation is the voice of weakness and that every moment of delay strengthens the chains of inaction. This is why they do not hesitate. They do not overthink. They simply do. They act because action is the only thing that matters. To build discipline, create a structured daily routine that includes physical training, reading, and focused work. Identify 3 areas in your life where you lack discipline and attack them relentlessly. When your mind says, "I don't feel like it," use that as a trigger to do it immediately. Recognize that hesitation is weakness attempting to regain control. Instead of seeing reluctance as a reason to delay, see it as a challenge to overcome. The moment you hear yourself thinking, "Not now," take action with even more intensity. If your mind says, "Skip the workout," immediately start moving. If it says, "You can read later," pick up the book and begin. The more you practice this, the more automatic it becomes. Over time, you will rewire your brain to equate resistance with action, hesitation with urgency. You will develop a reflex where the moment you feel like delaying, you move forward. The disciplined man understands that true strength lies not in waiting for the perfect moment, but in acting decisively, regardless of circumstances. He does not allow his emotions to determine his actions, he uses discipline as his guiding force. Every time he acts without waiting for motivation, he proves to himself that he is in control. He reinforces the crucial lesson that the mind is an obedient servant, not a tyrannical master. This is how discipline is built, not in words or intentions, but in action, repeated daily, until it becomes second nature. You have a choice: live as a slave to motivation, controlled by fleeting emotions and unreliable feelings, or build the discipline that will make you unstoppable. The path of discipline is not easy, it demands sacrifice, consistency, and unwavering commitment. But it is the only path that leads to true self-mastery. If you want to become the strongest version of yourself, stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop hoping for motivation. Take action now. Build the habits that will define your future. Dominate your mind, or it will dominate you. Hardship as a path to strength, embracing struggle to forge an unbreakable mind. Weak men run from hardship. They avoid struggle, seeking only ease and pleasure, mistaking comfort for fulfillment. But in doing so, they weaken themselves. They become fragile, unprepared for the inevitable difficulties of life. They search for shortcuts, quick solutions, and an easy road, failing to understand that true strength is only built in adversity. Hardship is not an obstacle, it is the forge that tempers a man's will, the refining fire that separates the strong from the weak. The Stoics understood this truth well. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Hardship reveals who you truly are." It strips away the illusions, the excuses, the false sense of security, and forces you to confront your limits. The weak self sees adversity as a punishment, a reason to quit, a justification for self-pity. But the strong self understands that adversity is a gift. It is an opportunity to sharpen the mind, to harden the body, and to forge an unshakable spirit. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The weak allow pain to define them. They let failure break their spirit, let discomfort justify inaction, and let challenges convince them that they are not capable. They complain, they resent their circumstances, they wish for an easier path. But the strong take a different approach. They do not run from pain, they lean into it. They recognize that every struggle is a lesson, every hardship a test, every moment of discomfort a chance to grow. They do not see pain as something to be feared but as something to be embraced. Every time you push through hardship, you are strengthening your resilience, expanding your limits, and proving to yourself that you are more capable than you ever imagined. The man who runs from hardship remains weak forever, but the man who embraces it becomes indestructible. Adversity is not something to avoid, it is something to seek out. The Stoics did not simply endure suffering, they practiced voluntary hardship to ensure they would never be broken by sudden misfortune. Seneca would sleep on the ground, wear simple clothing, and deprive himself of luxuries to remind himself that he was not dependent on comfort. Marcus Aurelius did not wish for an easier life, he wished to be stronger. He trained his mind to accept hardship as a natural part of life, to see obstacles as the very path to growth. This is the mindset you must adopt. Do not complain about difficulty, welcome it. Do not resent pain, learn from it. Every hardship you face is another opportunity to build yourself into someone who cannot be shaken. When life becomes difficult, do not ask for relief, ask for the strength to endure. A man who avoids discomfort remains weak. A man who chooses struggle becomes powerful. Weakness is burned away through effort, through discipline, through relentless perseverance. Every time you endure pain without breaking, you add another layer of armor to your spirit. Every difficulty you overcome is proof that you are capable of more. The difference between the weak and the strong is not talent, intelligence, or luck, it is the ability to suffer well. The weak crumble under pressure. They surrender when things get hard. They make excuses, convincing themselves that struggle is unnecessary. But the strong endure. They do not complain, they do not break, they do not retreat. They face adversity head-on and come out stronger on the other side. The reality is this: the world will not go easy on you. Life does not care if you are tired, unmotivated, or afraid. It will test you in ways you never expected, and if you are not prepared, you will break. But if you have trained yourself to embrace hardship, to see pain as a tool for growth, nothing will be able to shake you. The weak self will beg you to quit when things get difficult. It will whisper that you have already done enough, that it is okay to rest, that you deserve a break. But you must silence that voice. You must counter it with immediate action. When things get hard, lean into the difficulty. Prove to yourself that you are not controlled by weakness. Seek resistance, because it is the only way to become more than you are now. Growth happens in the friction between who you are and who you are trying to become. If you avoid friction, you remain the same. If you embrace it, you evolve into something stronger, sharper, more resilient. The man who seeks comfort will never achieve greatness. The man who seeks struggle will find within himself a power he never knew existed. The Stoics did not believe in complaining about life's hardships, they believed in preparing for them. They trained themselves to be unshaken by difficulty, to remain composed under pressure, to face adversity with a calm and steady mind. This is what you must do. Do not wish for life to be easier, wish to be stronger. Do not hope for fewer obstacles, hope for greater resilience. Every moment of hardship is another chance to prove your strength, to build your endurance, to refine your mind and body. Hardship is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It reveals the truth about you. It shows you whether you are weak or strong, whether you will rise or fall. The choice is always yours. When life applies pressure, do you collapse, or do you harden? Do you surrender, or do you push forward? The answer to these questions will define your future. The man who refuses to quit, who refuses to break, who embraces the struggle and keeps moving forward, he is the one who becomes unbreakable. He is the one who rises above the rest. He is the one who transforms into something greater. The fire that burns away weakness will reveal the indestructible core beneath. Stop seeing difficulty as something to fear, and start seeing it as the refining process that will mold you into the strongest version of yourself. Stand tall in the face of adversity. Let hardship be your teacher. Let it sharpen your mind, harden your body, and forge your spirit into something that cannot be broken. Do not wait for an easier life. Create a stronger self. The man who welcomes hardship, who does not run from it but embraces it, is the man who will achieve greatness. You have a choice: continue seeking comfort and remain the same, or embrace struggle and transform into something unstoppable. The time to decide is now. Mastering emotions, the path to strength and self-control. Weak men are slaves to their emotions. They allow anger, fear, anxiety, and impulse to dictate their actions, reacting without thought, surrendering their power to forces they refuse to control. They are like ships without anchors, tossed around by every fleeting feeling, unable to maintain direction or stability. Because they lack self-discipline, they live in a state of constant turmoil, responding impulsively, regretting their choices, and repeating the cycle endlessly. Their emotions control them instead of the other way around, leaving them weak, unreliable, and unable to trust their own judgment. A man without emotional control is a man easily broken, easily manipulated by others, easily triggered by external events, and easily swayed by the chaos of life. He is a prisoner of his own mind, reacting rather than thinking, driven by impulse rather than reason. His anger causes him to say words he later regrets, his fear stops him from taking necessary action, his anxiety keeps him trapped in hesitation, and his weakness forces him into self-pity instead of problem-solving. But the strong man, the man who seeks mastery, does not allow himself to be ruled by emotions. He does not suppress them or ignore them but governs them with wisdom and discipline. He understands that emotions are natural but not commands to be blindly obeyed. He acknowledges them, evaluates them, and then chooses his response based on logic, not impulse. He is the master of his mind, not its servant. The first step to mastering emotions is realizing that reacting emotionally is a sign of weakness. When a man lacks control over himself, he is controlled by everything else: his emotions, other people, circumstances, and even his past. He has no foundation, no stability, no ability to regulate himself under pressure. But the strong man is different. He does not allow emotions to dictate his behavior. He remains calm under pressure, unshaken by the storms of life, and composed in moments where lesser men would crumble. He does not let frustration turn into aggression, nor fear into paralysis. He does not allow sadness to become self-pity or disappointment to become an excuse for quitting. Instead, he steps back, observes, and acts with purpose. He is patient when others are impulsive, disciplined when others are reckless, and rational when others are ruled by emotion. His strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the ability to harness it without being enslaved by it. A weak man reacts immediately, without thought. A strong man pauses, reflects, and responds with wisdom. He does not allow temporary emotions to forge permanent consequences. He does not let a single moment of uncontrolled anger destroy a lifetime of respect. He does not allow fear to hold him back from action, nor does he allow anxiety to keep him trapped in inaction. He understands that emotions are signals, but they are not truths. They do not always reflect reality, and they are often exaggerated illusions created by the mind. The disciplined man studies his own emotions as a general studies the battlefield. He understands their movements, their patterns, their tendencies, and their distractions. He does not ignore them, but he refuses to be controlled by them. When anger arises, he asks himself, is this justified? Is this productive? Will this serve my higher purpose? If the answer is no, he does not let his emotions take the lead. Instead, he channels them as fuel for discipline. When fear tries to take control, he demands proof of its legitimacy. He challenges it, questions it, and determines whether it is a real threat or just an illusion. More often than not, he realizes that fear is nothing more than a deceptive whisper, an exaggerated voice that tries to keep him stagnant. When anxiety speaks doubt into his mind, he does not surrender to it. He dissects it, looks at it objectively, and decides whether it deserves his attention. If it does, he finds a solution. If it does not, he discards it immediately. The truth is that most emotions are not as powerful as they seem. They are fleeting, temporary, and often exaggerated. A weak man allows himself to drown in them, taking them as absolute truths, letting them dictate his behavior and control his life. But the strong man knows better. He recognizes that he is not his emotions. He is not his impulses, his fears, or his temporary desires. He is something more, something greater. He trains himself to separate emotion from action, to think rather than react, and to use emotions as tools rather than chains. He is like a mountain, unmoved by the winds of external forces, standing firm while others crumble. To achieve this level of emotional mastery, you must train yourself in moments of stress. When anger rises, take 3 deep breaths before speaking or acting. When fear appears, ask yourself whether it is real or simply an illusion. When anxiety attempts to take over, force yourself to move forward despite it. Control your emotions, or they will control you. Rule over your mind, or the world will rule over you instead. You must understand that your ability to remain composed in the face of chaos determines whether you rise or fall. Emotional mastery is what separates strong men from weak men, leaders from followers, warriors from cowards. It is not a skill that is given, it is built through deliberate effort, through constant self-examination, through an unyielding refusal to be a slave to fleeting feelings. The Stoics did not allow emotions to rule them. They practiced stillness, control, and rationality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." True strength does not come from dominance over others but from complete dominance over oneself. When others panic, the strong remain steady. When others react impulsively, the strong act with precision. When others allow their emotions to weaken them, the strong use them as fuel. This is the path to mastery. Master your emotions, and you master your destiny. Allow them to control you, and you will remain a prisoner of your own mind. A weak man debates, hesitates, and reacts. A strong man acts immediately, with clarity in purpose. You have a choice: remain a slave to emotion, or become the master of your own mind. If you wish to be unshakable, train yourself to resist the pull of impulse. Learn to observe without reacting. Learn to control rather than be controlled. Learn to think before you act, to remain calm in the storm, to respond with wisdom rather than impulse. When you achieve this, nothing will be able to shake you. You will become a man of absolute self-control, a force of nature, unbreakable in the face of chaos. Choose mastery. Choose strength. Choose to rule yourself, because if you do not, someone or something else will. Self-respect through self-discipline, the unbreakable foundation of character. A weak man begs for validation from others, constantly seeking approval and reassurance. He craves attention, applause, and recognition, mistaking the opinions of others for self-worth. But this is a trap. The more a man seeks external approval, the more he depends on forces outside his control. He lives in a cycle of insecurity, always trying to please others, always needing validation to feel worthy. His confidence is fragile because it is not built on anything real, it is built on perception, on how he is viewed rather than who he truly is. He fears judgment, avoids criticism, and changes his behavior to fit in. But the strong man does not seek approval, he builds self-respect through discipline, through action, through an identity that does not waver in the face of external pressure. A man who respects himself does not need constant reassurance. He does not beg for attention. He does not rely on others to tell him he is valuable. He knows his worth because he has earned it. He has proven it to himself through discipline, through the unbreakable consistency of his character. He is not defined by the opinions of others but by the standards he holds for himself. The strong man understands that self-respect is not given, it is built. It is not granted by society, by friends, or by admirers, it is forged in the fire of discipline. He does not need praise to feel worthy, nor does he fear criticism, because his foundation is solid. His value is not determined by likes, comments, or fleeting admiration but by his own relentless pursuit of excellence. The weak man wastes time seeking validation, comparing himself to others, hoping that someone will acknowledge his worth. But the strong man does not wait for recognition. He does not concern himself with how others perceive him. He knows that real respect is not requested, it is commanded. He earns it through action, through mastery, through becoming someone so undeniably competent that respect is inevitable. A disciplined man walks his own path. He does not seek approval from the world, he builds a life so powerful that the world cannot ignore him. He understands that true respect comes from within, from holding himself to an unshakable standard. He does not break his own rules. He does not make excuses. He does not allow weakness to dictate his actions. He is consistent in his principles, unwavering in his commitments, and relentless in his self-improvement. A man who cannot respect himself will always rely on others to validate him. He will always be at the mercy of public opinion, always bending to what others think, always controlled by external forces. But a man who has built himself into someone of discipline and strength does not need validation. He stands alone, powerful, unshaken, because his respect comes from within. The Stoics understood this truth well. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The weak waste their lives chasing distractions, seeking pleasure, indulging in temporary comforts that add nothing to their character. They scroll mindlessly through social media, consuming content, comparing themselves to others, feeling inadequate, and seeking validation from strangers. They waste hours on entertainment, numbing their minds rather than strengthening them. But the strong see through this illusion. They understand that time spent seeking approval is time stolen from self-improvement. Instead of chasing external validation, they invest in themselves. They refine their minds through study, their bodies through discipline, their souls through self-mastery. Every hour wasted on distractions is an hour that could have been spent becoming stronger. The weak indulge, the strong build. A man who respects himself does not need applause. He does not need to prove his worth to the world because he has already proven it to himself. His self-respect is forged in the silent hours of discipline when no one is watching, when there is no audience, when the only judge is himself. He does what must be done, not for recognition, but because it is who he is. The disciplined man does not beg for attention, he earns admiration through his results. He does not seek to be noticed, he seeks to be competent. The weak man wants to be liked, the strong man wants to be capable. The weak man changes his behavior to fit in, the strong man stands by his principles, regardless of consequence. If you want self-respect, start by eliminating distractions that weaken your mind. Remove the need for external validation. Stop wasting time on meaningless entertainment, social media, and superficial pleasures. Invest in yourself. Build a skill that makes you valuable. Create daily habits that reinforce discipline, reading, exercise, focused work. Set standards for yourself that are higher than what anyone else would ever expect. Hold yourself accountable. Follow through on your commitments, not because someone is watching, but because you refuse to be anything less than your best. If you say you will do something, do it. If you set a rule for yourself, follow it without exception. Every time you keep your own word, you strengthen your self-respect. Every time you break it, you weaken it. The key to self-respect is consistency. A man who respects himself does not tolerate weakness in his own behavior. He does not allow laziness, excuses, or emotional indulgence to control him. He operates by a code, an internal system of non-negotiable standards. If he decides to wake up early, he does it, no snooze button, no negotiation. If he commits to a goal, he follows through, no excuses, no rationalizations. The disciplined man treats his own word as law. He does not allow temporary feelings to dictate his actions. He moves forward regardless of emotion, regardless of difficulty, regardless of obstacles. The weak seek validation from others, the strong build self-respect through action. The weak need external approval to feel worthy, the strong know their worth because they have proven it to themselves. The weak crave attention, the strong crave mastery. If you want to command respect, start by respecting yourself. Do not speak of your strength, demonstrate it. Do not demand respect, earn it. Do not waste time trying to convince others of your value, build a life that makes it obvious. A man of discipline does not need permission to live as he chooses. He does not bend to the expectations of others. He does not seek validation from the world. He builds himself into someone who is so undeniably strong, so unquestionably capable, that respect becomes inevitable. True self-respect is not about how others see you, it is about how you see yourself. It is about knowing, with absolute certainty, that you are living up to your potential, that you are holding yourself to the highest standard, that you are not wasting your time chasing approval but instead building something real. If you want to be unbreakable, stop seeking validation and start building discipline. When you reach this level of self-mastery, you will no longer need anyone to tell you your worth, you will know it, because you have earned it. The art of endurance, strength through relentless persistence. A man who cannot endure hardship will never rise above mediocrity. Weak men quit when things become difficult. They complain, they make excuses, they search for a way out instead of a way through. They believe struggle is unfair, that adversity is something to be avoided, and that pain is an enemy rather than a teacher. But the strong man understands the truth: life is built on endurance. No great achievement is possible without struggle. No strength is gained without resistance. No transformation occurs without sacrifice. The ability to endure, to push through difficulty without breaking, is what separates the weak from the strong. It is the defining characteristic of every man who has ever accomplished something meaningful. Endurance is not just about surviving, it is about thriving under pressure, about becoming stronger through suffering, about developing an unbreakable spirit that does not waver in the face of hardship. The man who learns to endure is the man who conquers. The Stoics embraced endurance as a fundamental virtue. Epictetus said, "Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace." This does not mean passively accepting hardship, but rather embracing it as an opportunity to grow. The strong man does not wish for easier circumstances, he wishes to be stronger. He does not complain when things get difficult, he welcomes the challenge, knowing that every obstacle is a test, a chance to prove his resilience. Weak men want comfort, but comfort is the enemy of growth. The more comfortable you are, the less capable you become. The more you avoid difficulty, the weaker you remain. But the man who embraces struggle, who refuses to back down when things become hard, is the man who builds real power. He understands that endurance is the path to greatness. Endurance is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It is the ability to keep moving forward even when you want to stop. It is the refusal to break under pressure, the discipline to stay focused when distractions and temptations pull you in every direction. A man who lacks endurance is a man who will always fall short of his potential. He will quit too soon, give up too early, and settle for a life of regret. But the man who endures, who keeps going when others would quit, is the man who achieves the impossible. He does not stop when he is tired, he stops when he is finished. He does not allow temporary discomfort to dictate his actions. He moves forward because he knows that pain is temporary, but weakness is permanent. The greatest mistake a man can make is believing that struggle is optional. It is not. Life will test you. It will break you if you are not prepared. If you have not trained yourself to endure, you will collapse under the weight of adversity. This is why you must seek out discomfort. You must deliberately push yourself beyond what is comfortable, beyond what is easy, beyond what you think you are capable of. Because endurance is not something you are born with, it is something you build. It is a muscle that must be trained, strengthened, and conditioned every single day. When you push your body past its limits, you build endurance. When you resist the urge to quit, you build endurance. When you refuse to allow pain to stop you, you build endurance. The weak wait for motivation, for inspiration, for the right moment. But the strong do not wait, they act. They train themselves to endure no matter what. To develop endurance, you must challenge yourself daily. Push your physical and mental limits. Train your mind to crave difficulty. Seek out moments of struggle that force you to evolve. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Lift heavier. Run farther. Work longer. Learn something new that intimidates you. Put yourself in situations where patience is tested, where your ability to think clearly under stress is challenged. The weak self avoids pain, the strong self seeks it. Because he knows that struggle is the only way to sharpen the mind and harden the body. A man who lacks endurance will always fall short of his goals. He will start strong but fade when things become difficult. He will begin the journey but never finish. He will make plans but abandon them when the first obstacle appears. But the man who has built endurance does not falter. He does not hesitate. He does not quit. He understands that endurance is the key to success in every area of life. Whether in business, fitness, relationships, or personal development, those who can endure the longest always come out on top. Endurance is not just about pushing through pain, it is about training your mind to see struggle as fuel. Every time you endure discomfort, you grow. Every time you push through resistance, you strengthen yourself. Every time you keep going when everything in you wants to stop, you prove that you are not controlled by weakness. The ability to endure is what separates the common man from the exceptional man. It is what makes champions. It is what builds legends. The greatest warriors, athletes, and thinkers in history did not become great because they had an easy path, they became great because they refused to give up when things became hard. They pushed forward when others quit. They endured when others surrendered. They saw struggle not as a curse but as a gift. When life becomes difficult, you have two choices: you can quit, or you can endure. The weak man quits. He looks for the easy way out. He justifies his failure with excuses, blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck. But the strong man endures. He keeps moving forward, no matter how hard it gets. He does not ask if the journey is difficult, he expects it to be. He does not wait for a break, he creates his own opportunities through sheer persistence. He does not allow momentary pain to dictate his future. He embraces the suffering, knowing that it is shaping him into something stronger. If you want to build endurance, start by making struggle a daily part of your life. Do not wait for adversity to come to you, seek it out. Train harder. Work longer. Do things that force you to push beyond your limits. Learn to be comfortable in discomfort. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself that endurance is the key to everything you want in life. The weak will always look for the easy way out, but the strong understand that endurance is what creates greatness. The man who can endure anything becomes unstoppable. Pain does not break him. Obstacles do not stop him. Resistance does not slow him down. He does not ask for an easy road, he asks for the strength to walk the hardest path. Because he knows that in the end, it is not talent, intelligence, or luck that determines success, it is the ability to endure. If you want to achieve something great, stop looking for comfort and start building endurance. The world belongs to those who refuse to quit. The choice is yours: remain weak, or build the endurance that will make you unstoppable. The power of solitude, strength through self-reflection and independence. Weak men fear being alone. They seek constant distraction, filling their time with meaningless noise, avoiding silence at all costs. They surround themselves with shallow conversations, mindless entertainment, and fleeting social validation, mistaking activity for purpose. They fear solitude because it forces them to confront their weaknesses, their flaws, their doubts. Instead of facing these truths, they drown them in external stimulation. But the strong man embraces solitude. He understands that clarity, wisdom, and true self-mastery are cultivated in moments of silence. He does not run from his own thoughts, he engages with them. He does not fear stillness, he welcomes it. In solitude, he finds himself, refines his mind, and strengthens his discipline. It is in the quiet moments, away from the distractions of the world, that he sharpens his focus and defines his purpose. Seneca once wrote, "Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company." A man who cannot be alone is a man who has not yet built himself into someone worth being alone with. He relies on external validation because he has not yet developed internal strength. He seeks approval because he does not yet approve of himself. But the man who can sit in silence, comfortable in his own presence, possesses an unbreakable foundation. He does not need the noise of others to validate his worth. His value is self-generated, built through discipline, wisdom, and relentless self-improvement. He does not seek distraction, he seeks depth. He does not chase fleeting pleasures, he pursues mastery. Solitude is not loneliness, it is a tool. It is the proving ground of self-sufficiency, where a man learns to stand on his own without the need for external affirmation. The modern world teaches men to fear being alone. It bombards them with endless distractions, making them believe that solitude is unnatural, that silence is something to be filled, that boredom must always be avoided. But the greatest minds in history understood the necessity of solitude. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Nietzsche, and countless other thinkers used isolation as a means of self-reflection and personal growth. They did not run from being alone, they sought it out. They knew that only in solitude could they truly hear their own thoughts, separate themselves from the influence of the masses, and carve their own path with absolute clarity. To master solitude is to master the mind. It is in these moments of stillness that a man gains perspective, sets his intentions, and strengthens his resolve. Without solitude, a man never truly knows himself. He becomes a product of his environment, shaped by the noise and opinions of others rather than by his own convictions. A man who is constantly surrounded by people, distractions, and meaningless chatter will never have the space to reflect on who he truly is or what he truly wants. But the man who embraces solitude carves out time for deep thought, for self-examination, for refining his philosophy in his principles. He does not merely exist, he understands himself on the deepest level. If you cannot be alone, it is a sign that you have work to do. If you constantly seek distraction, it means you fear the silence because the silence reveals truths you would rather ignore. But growth requires confrontation. You must be willing to face yourself, to analyze your weaknesses, to acknowledge your flaws without excuse. Only then can you begin to improve. The weak man avoids this process. He seeks comfort in distraction, in validation, in the opinions of others. But the strong man embraces the solitude, knowing that true strength comes from self-awareness. The ability to be alone is the ability to control one's own destiny. A man who cannot be alone is a man who has no control over himself. He is dependent on approval, on companionship, on external reinforcement. But the man who can sit in silence, focused, at peace, is untouchable. He is not swayed by trends, by fleeting opinions, by the chaos of the world. He moves with certainty, guided by his own internal compass. He is a fortress unto himself, stable, resolute, and unyielding. The strongest men in history did not become powerful by seeking distraction. They became powerful by dedicating themselves to self-mastery, by spending hours in deep thought, by refining their vision without interference. They were not afraid of solitude because they understood that it was the birthplace of greatness. If you wish to be strong, if you wish to be disciplined, if you wish to rise above the masses, you must learn to be alone. You must learn to embrace the silence, to find power in stillness, to become comfortable in your own company. Set aside time each day for quiet reflection. Do not fear being alone, fear being dependent on the presence of others to feel whole. If you cannot sit in silence for an hour without reaching for your phone, your mind has been hijacked by distractions. Take back control. Train yourself to be alone without needing external input. Meditate on your goals, your values, your purpose. Read philosophy. Write your thoughts down. Develop the ability to think deeply without interruption. The more comfortable you become in solitude, the stronger you will be when facing the world. Weak men seek validation, strong men build themselves into a force that needs none. Solitude is where a man builds his kingdom. It is where he strategizes, where he hardens himself against weakness, where he becomes the master of his fate. A man who cannot be alone is a man who does not know himself, and a man who does not know himself is lost. If you wish to be unbreakable, learn to be alone. If you wish to be strong, seek silence. If you wish to control your own life, embrace solitude not as loneliness, but as the ultimate tool for self-creation. Greatness is not forged in the noise of the world. It is sculpted in the quiet determination of a man who dares to stand alone, who dares to face himself without distraction, who dares to build something lasting and real. Stop running from solitude. Stop filling every moment with meaningless activity. Stop seeking constant validation from the world. Be still. Be silent. Look inward. Find clarity. Build yourself into a man so strong, so disciplined, so independent that nothing external can shake you. This is the power of solitude. This is the path to mastery. This is how a man becomes unstoppable. Controlling the chaos of the mind, mastering thought to achieve absolute clarity. A man who cannot control his mind is at the mercy of every passing emotion, every fleeting thought, and every external influence. Weak men allow their thoughts to dominate them, drowning in self-doubt, fear, regret, and endless overthinking. They relive past failures, obsess over things they cannot change, and paralyze themselves with worries about an uncertain future. They are consumed by distractions, controlled by impulses, and easily manipulated by the noise of the world. Their emotions dictate their choices, making them erratic, anxious, and unable to stay on a steady path. But the strong man, the disciplined man, takes control of his thoughts. He does not let his mind wander aimlessly. He disciplines it. He sharpens it. He trains it to serve him rather than enslave him. He understands that an undisciplined mind is like an untrained beast, it will run wild, cause destruction, and sabotage everything in its path. But a disciplined mind is a powerful weapon, capable of cutting through any obstacle, any doubt, any challenge that stands in the way. Mastering your mind means eliminating unnecessary worry, silencing self-doubt, and cultivating inner stillness. It means recognizing that your thoughts are tools, not masters. A weak man reacts impulsively to every thought that enters his mind, allowing himself to be carried away by emotions, by irrational fears, by imagined problems that do not even exist. But a strong man filters his thoughts. He chooses which ones to entertain and which ones to discard. He does not let his mind dictate his actions, he dictates his mind. Just as a warrior sharpens his sword, the disciplined man sharpens his thoughts. He trains himself to think logically rather than emotionally, to assess situations with clarity, and to focus only on what he can control. This mindset allows him to move with confidence, unbothered by the chaos around him. A weak man's mind is a battlefield of anxiety, regret, and overanalysis. He is stuck in the past, replaying mistakes, dwelling on failures. He fears the future, creating imaginary scenarios that paralyze him. His emotions dictate his actions, making him unpredictable and easily influenced. He is a slave to impulse, reacting instead of thinking, controlled instead of in control. But the strong man refuses to let his mind consume him. He recognizes his thoughts for what they are, passing waves on the surface of a deeper, more stable ocean. He acknowledges them, but he does not allow them to steer his course. Instead, he takes ownership of his mind, directing his thoughts with purpose. He decides which thoughts serve him and which must be discarded. He cultivates a mind that is clear, disciplined, and unshaken. To control your mind, you must first control your focus. Weak men allow their attention to be scattered, jumping from one distraction to another, never fully engaging in anything meaningful. They spend hours scrolling through social media, consuming useless information, letting their minds be polluted by negativity, gossip, and trivial concerns. Their thoughts are cluttered, unfocused, chaotic. But the strong man protects his focus like a warrior guarding a fortress. He is selective about what he allows into his mind. He does not waste mental energy on distractions. He focuses only on what is essential, on what strengthens him, sharpens him, and moves him forward. The Stoics understood this principle well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the ultimate truth: a man who masters his mind masters his life. The world is unpredictable, full of challenges, full of obstacles. But the one thing you always control is your own mind. No one can force you to think a certain way. No one can make you dwell on negativity. No one can control your mental state unless you allow them to. This is why mental discipline is the highest form of power. When you develop control over your own thoughts, nothing can shake you. If you want to control your mind, start by eliminating distractions. Remove anything that weakens your focus: pointless entertainment, social media, news designed to provoke outrage and fear. Train yourself to think deeply, to sit with your thoughts without distraction, to observe them rather than be controlled by them. Develop the ability to remain calm under pressure. When negative thoughts arise, do not react, analyze them. Ask yourself, is this thought useful? Does it serve me? Does it help me move forward? If the answer is no, discard it immediately. Do not entertain thoughts that weaken you. Do not allow mental clutter to take up space in your mind. Be ruthless in eliminating anything that does not contribute to your strength, your discipline, your progress. Mental discipline is not optional. Without it, you will always be at the mercy of your impulses. You will always be reactive rather than proactive. You will always be a prisoner of your own chaotic thoughts. But when you develop true control over your mind, you become untouchable. You gain the ability to act with precision, to make decisions with clarity, to stay focused no matter what is happening around you. You no longer waste time on useless worry or destructive self-doubt. You move forward with absolute certainty, guided by reason rather than emotion. A disciplined mind is a fortress unshaken by external chaos, unaffected by the emotions of the moment, unmoved by distractions. When others panic, the strong man remains steady. When others react emotionally, he responds with logic. When others hesitate, he takes decisive action. This is what separates the weak from the strong. This is what makes the difference between an average life and a life of excellence. If you want to master your mind, train yourself daily. Practice mindfulness. Observe your thoughts without being consumed by them. Replace negative thoughts with disciplined, focused affirmations. Build mental habits that reinforce clarity and control. When fear arises, confront it with logic. When hesitation creeps in, act before doubt can take root. The more you train your mind to obey you, the stronger you become. Over time, mental discipline will become second nature. You will no longer struggle with distraction, with self-doubt, with emotional instability. You will move through life with unshakable confidence, knowing that nothing external can break you because you control the one thing that truly matters, your own mind. A weak man is ruled by his thoughts. A strong man rules over them. Choose now. Take control of your mind, or be controlled by it. Master your thoughts, or let them master you. The choice is yours. But remember, only those who train their minds to be disciplined, focused, and unshaken will ever achieve greatness. The warrior's mentality, strength, discipline, and the relentless pursuit of mastery. A man must adopt the mentality of a warrior if he wishes to conquer his weaknesses and achieve greatness. Life is a battlefield, and only those who are mentally, physically, and spiritually prepared will thrive. Weak men shrink from conflict, from hardship, from struggle. They surrender to fear, allowing obstacles to define their limits. They look for comfort instead of challenge, choosing the easy road rather than the difficult one that forges character. But the strong man embraces the fight. He does not complain about his circumstances, he adapts, overcomes, and moves forward. He does not seek an easy life, he seeks one that tests his endurance, sharpens his mind, and strengthens his will. He understands that pain is not something to be feared, but something to be mastered. Struggle is not a punishment, but a necessary training ground for the mind and body. He knows that the greatest warriors in history did not become strong by avoiding adversity, but by walking headfirst into it and emerging stronger each time. The Stoics admired the warrior spirit, one that is unwavering, unshaken by fear, and always prepared to face challenges head-on. A warrior does not wait for perfect conditions, he creates them. He does not depend on external motivation, he relies on discipline. He does not make excuses, he takes action. This is the mentality that separates those who succeed from those who fail. A warrior understands that there is no room for hesitation, no space for doubt. When the moment of truth arrives, preparation will determine his fate. He trains every day, whether he feels like it or not, knowing that when adversity strikes, only the prepared will endure. He does not wake up and ask himself if he is in the mood to train, he trains because it is who he is. He does not wait for opportunities to come to him, he forces them into existence through relentless action. To think like a warrior is to eliminate the option of retreat. Weak men see failure as an endpoint, a reason to quit. They allow setbacks to break their confidence, convincing themselves that they were never meant to succeed. But a warrior sees failure as feedback, a lesson that sharpens his skills. Every setback is an opportunity to refine his strategy. Every loss is a lesson in resilience. He does not fear failure because he knows it is a necessary part of the path to mastery. The real battle is not fought externally, it is fought within. The battle is with his own doubts, his own hesitation, his own desire for comfort. He does not fear this battle because he has already won the war in his mind. His will is stronger than any obstacle, his discipline unshakable, his resolve absolute. A warrior understands that victory is not given, it is earned through sweat, sacrifice, and an unrelenting mindset. He does not wish for an easier road, he demands the strength to walk the hardest path. He does not dream of success, he builds it with his own hands. He does not pray for comfort, he seeks transformation. He recognizes that every hardship he endures strengthens his ability to persist. Pain becomes his teacher. Discomfort becomes his ally. Discipline becomes his shield. He does not break under pressure, he thrives under it. The weak man avoids suffering, but the warrior welcomes it, knowing that true power is forged through struggle. This mindset applies to all areas of life, physical training, personal growth, business, relationships. The warrior does not approach life passively, hoping for the best. He takes control. He dominates his environment rather than being shaped by it. He moves with intention, with purpose, with the certainty that nothing will stop him. He does not hope for a lucky break, he creates his own luck by being the most prepared, the most disciplined, the most relentless. When others hesitate, he acts. When others complain, he pushes forward. When others make excuses, he finds solutions. This is what makes him unstoppable. The greatest warriors in history did not become powerful by avoiding difficulty. They became powerful because they sought out challenges, they embraced resistance, they trained themselves to endure what others could not. They understood that struggle is not the enemy, it is the only path to mastery. Marcus Aurelius, a warrior and a philosopher, did not wish for life to be easier. He wished to be stronger. He knew that the greatest battles are won not with physical strength alone, but with mental fortitude, with the ability to remain calm under pressure, with the discipline to act regardless of circumstances. If you want to adopt the warrior's mentality, you must eliminate softness from your mind. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop seeking comfort. Stop expecting an easy path. Train yourself to move forward no matter what. Push your body beyond its limits. Train your mind to reject weakness. Discipline yourself to act, not react. Every time you push through resistance, you grow stronger. Every time you refuse to quit, you reinforce your ability to endure. Every time you silence the weak voice in your head that begs for comfort, you become more unbreakable. Train your body as well as your mind. Physical strength reinforces mental strength. If you are weak physically, your mind will follow. A warrior does not allow himself to become soft. He does not make excuses for neglecting his health, his fitness, his ability to defend himself. He trains because a strong body supports a strong mind. He conditions himself for battle, not just the physical battles of life, but the mental ones. He does not let himself fall into laziness, into weakness, into complacency. He is always ready. See obstacles as training rather than setbacks. Every difficulty is another test, another lesson, another chance to sharpen yourself. The warrior does not run from struggle, he seeks it out, knowing that only through challenge can he reach his full potential. Cultivate a mindset that thrives under pressure and welcomes difficulty. When others complain about the struggle, remind yourself that this is what makes you strong. When others seek ease, remind yourself that ease leads to stagnation. When others break, remind yourself that you were built to endure. The warrior's greatest weapon is not his strength, his skill, or his strategy. It is his refusal to be broken. It is his ability to withstand what others cannot. It is his unwavering certainty that no matter what comes his way, he will endure, adapt, and overcome. He does not merely survive, he conquers. He does not just exist, he dominates. The choice is yours: live as a passive participant in your own life, hoping for things to get easier, or forge yourself into a warrior who takes command of his fate. Train your body. Train your mind. Build unshakable discipline. Adopt the mentality of a warrior, and nothing will stand in your way. The legacy of strength, building a life that endures beyond time. A man's legacy is not built in moments of ease, but in the trials he overcomes. Weak men leave nothing behind but regret, wasted potential, and excuses. They live passively, hoping that time itself will grant them significance, failing to realize that only action, discipline, and relentless effort create a lasting impact. The strong man understands that legacy is not something that happens by chance, it is something forged through deliberate choices, through sacrifice, through the commitment to excellence in every area of life. He does not drift through existence, waiting for purpose to find him. He does not rely on the illusion that tomorrow will always be available to him. He knows that every day is an opportunity to build something meaningful, something that will outlive him, something that will continue to inspire long after he is gone. A life without purpose is a life wasted. A man who fails to discipline himself, to sharpen his mind, to cultivate strength in both body and spirit, will leave nothing behind but an empty name. But the man who dedicates himself to self-mastery, to wisdom, to unwavering discipline, he will leave behind a legacy that stands the test of time. Seneca once said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Many waste their years in distraction, indulgence, and hesitation, never fully grasping the power they hold over their destiny. They allow time to slip through their fingers, mistaking comfort for fulfillment and idleness for peace. They assume they have more time, always believing they will get around to doing what matters someday. But someday never comes for those who do not take action. The strong man does not wait. He does not waste time chasing temporary pleasures or external validation. He does not allow his days to be consumed by trivial pursuits. He understands that time is the most valuable asset, and he refuses to squander it. He invests every moment into becoming stronger, wiser, and more disciplined. He does not seek fleeting enjoyment, he seeks greatness. A true legacy is not about wealth, fame, or status. It is about character, about the impact a man has on the world, about the lessons he leaves behind for others to follow. A man's legacy is written in the way he carries himself, in the discipline he upholds, in the values he instills in those around him. Wealth can be spent, fame fades, and status is forgotten, but the influence of a disciplined life echoes beyond one's years. A man who holds himself to the highest standards, who refuses to let weakness define him, who walks with unwavering purpose, his presence will be felt long after he is gone. The strong man understands that he does not live only for himself. He understands that his actions ripple outward, affecting others, setting an example, shaping the next generation. He does not seek recognition, but his discipline and strength naturally inspire those who witness his way of life. The greatest mistake a man can make is believing that legacy is something that begins later in life. A legacy is built in the small, consistent actions of today. It is built in how a man chooses to spend his time, in the habits he forms, in the principles he refuses to compromise. Every decision he makes either strengthens or weakens the foundation of the life he is building. A weak man allows his legacy to be dictated by circumstance, by procrastination, by a lack of commitment. But the strong man takes ownership of his destiny. He understands that each day is a brick laid in the foundation of the legacy he will leave behind. He is intentional with his actions, with his words, with his choices. He ensures that his name will not be forgotten not because he chases fame, but because he has lived with such discipline, such integrity, such unshakable strength that his presence cannot be erased. A man who respects himself does not waste time. He does not live for temporary gratification. He does not let life pass him by while he remains stagnant. He treats every day as an opportunity to sharpen himself, to improve, to grow, to strengthen his mind, body, and character. He does not wait for motivation. He does not delay his purpose. He does not allow fear or hesitation to control him. He knows that the clock is always ticking, and he refuses to waste a single second. He understands that the choices he makes today will shape how he is remembered tomorrow. If you want to leave behind something meaningful, start by mastering yourself. Discipline yourself relentlessly. Hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else would ever demand. Train your body, refine your mind, and sharpen your willpower. Do not waste a single day in mediocrity. Read. Learn. Train. Create. Build. Teach. Lead. Live in a way that commands respect, not because you seek approval, but because your actions make it undeniable. Your legacy is not something that will happen someday, it is something you are creating right now. Every workout you complete, every book you read, every difficult task you push through, every lesson you teach, every moment of discipline you choose over weakness, this is the foundation of your legacy. When your time comes to leave this world, will you look back with regret, wondering what could have been? Or will you stand with pride, knowing you left nothing undone, that you lived with strength, that you refused to waste the time you were given? The weak man reaches the end of his life filled with regret, realizing too late that he had the power to be more, to do more, to become more. But the strong man leaves with no doubts, no hesitation, no unfinished work. He has forged himself into something unbreakable, and the impact of his existence will continue to shape others long after he is gone. Live in such a way that your absence will be felt. Build something so powerful within yourself that your name carries weight, not because of vanity, but because of the undeniable strength of your character. Let your life be an example of what is possible when discipline, wisdom, and relentless effort are pursued without compromise. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. Take action now, and create a legacy that will stand the test of time. END. Life is a journey of endurance, discipline, and self-mastery. True strength does not come from external validation or fleeting comforts, but from the ability to withstand hardship, to govern one's emotions, and to act with purpose despite difficulty. Wisdom is found in solitude, where one can reflect on past experiences and gain clarity about what truly matters. The past cannot be changed, and the future remains uncertain, but the present moment is always within our control. The greatest battles are not fought against others, but within ourselves, the struggle to rise above fear, doubt, and hesitation. Growth comes not from ease, but from the willingness to embrace discomfort, to see challenges as teachers, and to remain steadfast in the face of adversity. A life of discipline leads to self-respect, and a man who respects himself is unshakable, unmoved by external opinions or temporary setbacks. The world will always change, and time will continue its course, but a mind trained in wisdom, a heart rooted in purpose, and a spirit strengthened through struggle will remain indomitable. In the end, the greatest legacy is not what we have, but who we become, resilient, wise, and at peace with ourselves.